I think we should do fracking in the UK for any number of reasons, but especially for its contributions towards climate change. Natural gas is certainly a carbon fuel, but it's half the carbon of coal. It's also 30% less carbon than oil. We can replace, for example, diesel in public transport with natural gas. That would reduce air pollution, which caused 13,000 deaths in the UK last year, according to the NHS. It also would be very good for the economy, and it would also lead to, inevitably, to some moderation, at the very least, of fuel poverty.
We'd have to extract an enormous quantity of shale gas to do anything like the things you're suggesting. All of the projections that I've seen from independent analysts suggest we won't get anywhere near that. Shale gas will have no impact on our fuel bills. It won't bring down the price of gas in Europe. And in the meantime, it's a dirty fossil fuel, and by the time shale gas will be produced in any great quantity, if it delivers at all, we'll be into a decade, the 2020s, when we simply can't afford to burn any significant amount of fossil fuel in our energy system. So why don't we instead tap into the incredible natural endowment of renewable energy resources we have in the UK? We're one of the best endowed countries in the world for renewable resources, wind, wave and solar. And unless we exploit that, we will be hooked on this dirty fossil fuel for decades to come. We won't tackle climate change, and we won't be able to manage the cost of our energy either.
Let me just point out that the United Kingdom does less than 1.5% of global emissions. What we do here in the UK is utterly inconsequential. What one has to understand is that the shale revolution, which has happened first in the United States and caused a substantial drop in emissions there, is replicable worldwide. We also have to have a rational debate about the potential for renewables. I think the potential for renewables is far greater than it is now, but whether it is ever going to be more than 20% of the actual energy demand of the UK is really questionable.
Nick, let's take your points one by one. So our importance in tackling climate change globally in the UK, well, we're hugely significant. Countries like China, for instance, who trade quite a lot with us, increasingly with us, look to us to set the tone. Shale is hugely overhyped. And actually, although I wouldn't quite use your language, I think those that are saying that shale is the answer to all of our problems, which is largely what the UK government and the shale gas companies are saying, the shale gas companies obviously have an interest in doing so, are the ones that are overhyping this. Shale is hardly likely to do very much at all in the UK. Unless it's exploited massively across Europe, it's not going to lower the price of our fuel in Europe. In the meantime, we could be spending the money and political capital and energy that we're spending on this fracking debate at the moment on trying to exploit these extraordinarily good renewable resources we have, which is a major success story in the UK.
I would say that you have an exaggerated view of the impact of the UK on climate change. It's going to be, but you do make a good point about we have to replace coal. That is the number one thing. That is what people like No Dash for Gas are enabling coal. What we have to do, and what I see developing from people that I speak to in the United States and in China, is that we see the possibility of a global halt to the coal trade, just as we had a global halt to the slavery trade, which eventually, over time, got rid of coal. We have to get rid of coal. That is the enemy. That is something that we can agree upon. And natural gas provides that solution. Anything else is really wishful thinking.
The UK doesn't need to do this. It doesn't need to punch holes in its countryside to bring down its energy bills, because that's not going to be the case. What we should be doing is investing our time, our effort, our political capital and our investors' money into renewables, which will create loads of jobs. It will raise our GDP growth. That's already happened. And that's going to be the future for an island that has masses of wind, actually quite a lot of sunshine, and an awful lot of water around it.